I'm E.B. Lewis, and I am an artist, illustrator, writer. I hail out of Philadelphia. I've been doing this work for quite some time, and when as a painter, I often ask, how long does it take me to do a painting? The answer is about 45, 50 years. And I say that because it's about all that time. It took that kind of time to understand what this work is about, to develop my voice as an artist. As an illustrator and artist are two different things. There's a very thin line between the two. I do both. When I wear the hat of the illustrator, I know that I am working and producing work for children and understanding the power of that. As an artist, I am doing work. I don't separate that in that sense of children versus adults, because I think all children's books are endless in terms of age. We can go children, from infancy up to 90. But in my fine art, it's a specific audience. The audience is an audience that is a world audience. I am a black artist, but I don't look at my work as such. I'm documenting. I'm documenting life. I'm documenting life. As artists, we sit out on a peripheral, and we're in constant observation of the world. And in that observation, I want to leave something behind. I'm capturing, recording, documenting, and leaving those statements behind. And that's important for me. I have spent a lifetime in art. I came into the industry, I came into the arts because I had an uncle. I had two uncles. One, my Uncle Bradley, and one, my Uncle Lyles. And both of them influenced me tremendously. One actually saved my life. I was struggling in school. I failed the third grade. I'm dyslexic. I stuttered as a child, and so school was a nightmare for me. I didn't like school. I didn't like myself. I didn't like books. All that was due to just what happened as a child and trying to figure out, the world in which I lived. And children can be mean, so my classroom was no exception. When I would stand up and read aloud, kids would laugh because I stuttered and my words were flipping around and I didn't know what was going on, and I wasn't able to articulate what was going on. And so it was a struggle. So by the time I reached sixth grade, I was a complete mess. And we had a career day. I hesitate to tell this because I feel every time I tell the story that we had a career day at the school that I attended. And at school, we had on that day, we had different people from different professions there to speak about how they got to become what they became. So it was a doctor, a fireman, a nurse, a lawyer, what have you. And they all spoke and presented, and then we had an opportunity to raise our hands. And so I remember little Charlie Shoemaker. It's amazing that I can still remember his name. And he was the first to raise his hand. He was the student council, the president of the student council. And he said he wanted to be a doctor. He got all this attention, and I figured, I'm sitting there thinking, and I was that kid that needed to be next to the teacher. So I'm sitting there thinking, what can I say to get the same attention Charlie's getting? So I thought. And I raised my hand. The teacher sitting next to me put my hand down. So they picked another child, question, answer, and then I raised it again. Hand, arm, put down. I got the other one up. And when I said that I wanted to be a lawyer, I didn't really want to be a lawyer, I just wanted to get the same attention that Charlie got. When I said that, the whole sixth grade class laughed. I hear that laughter now. Every time I tell that story, it will haunt me for the rest of my life. And so I looked around. I was too embarrassed to look either side. I looked straight ahead, and I could catch the eyes. I wanted to catch the eye of the attorney that was on the stage. And I wanted him to say something smart, something intelligent, something that would get me out of this situation. And he looked at me. We caught eyes. I'll never forget that. And he looked at me, looked out into the audience, and he just picked another student, left me there. And as I say to children, that could destroy a child. And I'm talking about your self-esteem, self-worth, value, all important stuff. And when I do these school visits, at that point when I have this little dialogue, I asked, I said, by show of hands, how many of you like who you are? And I was shocked the first time of how few hands went up. And so that shows that there's a struggle, there's something going on in our country that we have to fix. But, and that, for me, I needed someone to help. I needed someone to care. I needed someone to rescue me. And that was my uncle. And what he did is he took me to Saturday morning art class, sacrificing. That's what caring does. It means that it's not a spectator sport. You can't sit down and say, I care. And if you're going to care and really care, it requires you to get up, get out of your chair, and put something into action. And that's what he did. He left his 3 daughters and his wife, came across the bridge from New Jersey to Pennsylvania, picked me up, and took me to Saturday morning art class for 6 years straight. Changed my life. I knew at that point that I knew that I wanted to be an artist, without a doubt. We find ourselves on these contributories, and they lead to different places, and hopefully they will lead one day into a stream. And without doubt, I know that I'm on that stream, where I'm supposed to be. And it's a good place. I'm loving this idea that now I'm considered an artist. And that's an important thing in a society. The artists have always been feared. If you go back into antiquity, you will see that anytime there was an overthrow of power, coup d'etat, Nazi Germany, Cuba, China, Russia, whenever there was an overthrow of power, the Spanish, whenever there's overthrow of power, every time the first people that were persecuted were the artists. And so that says something. We're the critical thinkers. And I love that. It's important, And I want to do it until I die. And there's a wonderful photograph of Matisse. He's on his deathbed, can barely move without aid. And he's there on his back, and there's a bamboo pole in his hand. And he's got a piece of chalk at the tip of it. And he's drawing on the ceiling. That's how I want to leave this earth. My last mark, It's a wonderful journey. It really is. It's a really beautiful journey. When we talk about critical thinking in terms of my art, what am I producing? I'm trying to make a difference. Right now, in the beginning, I didn't know where I was and what I was trying to do. I was just making imagery. And then I realized that you don't become an artist until you have something to say. The mere fact that you can draw or paint or play music or write or dance does not make you the artist. You don't become an artist until you have something to say, because what you have done is you've developed a language. And this language is, if you're music, it's the musical language, and writing, so on and so forth. In art, it's that visual language. So I'm a visual in the illustration vein. I'm a storyteller. I'm a visual storyteller. As an artist, I'm using that. I've become adept in what I'm able to say, and I'm able to wield those images the way I want, and get people to feel and have an emotion that I actually purposely made you feel that. I controlled that. I dictated that. And so it's not by design. It's not by accident. It's by design. Mm-hmm. And so what my work is now is I'm documenting and making statements about our society, social injustice. My work, I have paintings that deal with in history, with looking at the cotton. And I have a whole series of images that are called the plaintiffs. And they're individuals standing in the middle of a cotton field. And I interchange them throughout different images and what have you. And there's one that I love, it's very powerful. The sky is stormy, very torrent sky. And there are children right in the middle of the field. And in the distance, there's the White House, And so it's a big house, And the history of that, you realize it was built by the slaves. And so it's just one example of what and how I use my work, how I use my imagery. I'm documenting right now also. My work is now, after looking and traveling and understanding the country and the world, my work has taken me to France. I have two galleries in France, and in performance, one outside of Lyon, the other one in Avignon. And I went there on vacation to just as some friends. I took artists. They were all artists. There were about 5 of us, and we ended up at James Baldwin's house, and in St. Paul de Vence. Oh man, we were just excited to go and see his where he resided. And when we got there, it was gone. The only thing was standing was a structure. I think it was his guest house, getting ready to be taken down, demolished within a week. And we stood in the center of that hallowed ground, and we wept. That how could this happen? Why would such a great individual, a prophet, not be respected to that extent where you just tear it down as if it never existed? And so I remembered a line. It was a documentary of James Baldwin. It was called The Price of the Ticket. And James had passed, and his brother David was asked the question, what would Jimmy say about his legacy? He said, Jimmy spoke of it often. He said when they sift through the wreckage and brush away the detritus, hopefully they will uncover something that I left behind. And I'm like, wow, that's what it's all about. To produce work that leave behind that somebody else can use. To leave behind something that someone else can use. I think that is the job of the artist. Well, I'm a father. We'll talk about the greatest creation to be a part of. I wasn't, the only one involved in that. Their mother, but I have 3 amazing sons, and they are strong and very productive in society. The youngest one, we don't know yet. He's only 17, so we'll figure out what he's doing, what he's going to do in the world. But my other 2, Aaron, Joshua, and Noah. And that's I love knowing that I have created these individuals, and they're often doing their own thing. And now I have grandchildren, so that's exciting. The question is like, when you look at the children, what do you see? Is the question. I have been asked that question often the week that I've been here. And first, the answer to that is, I see me. Those are who I am. Those are my children. I see me as a kid, and trying to figure it out, and just looking and wondering where I'm going to lie. What do I have to do? What work do I have to put in? And as I look at our educational system, I'm an educator. I've been teaching now for about 38 years, and I love teaching. But we are basically in a problem. We have children dropping out at an enormous rate, an alarming rate. And it's our problem. So it's the country problem. It's not a race problem. It's a country problem. And what we do, I think, we talk about the 3 R's: reading, writing, arithmetic, as if that's all that's necessary. And it's not. We ask the wrong questions. The questions that we ask a child is, what do you want to be when you grow up? They don't know. They're going to give answers. Well, my parent is this, and so I'm going to be that. Or they'll think of an answer that might get a reaction, a response. And like, oh, that's great. But they don't know themselves, and so that's not the answer. That's not the question that you ask the child. The question that you ask the child is, what do you like to do? What gets you excited? What can you do for hours? And if you don't know, this is an opportunity for the teacher, the parent, to go out and expose them to as much and as many things as you can possibly expose them to, right? And it's like this box of possibilities that I like to say. You go to the thrift store, you go to the dollar store, and you start throwing things into this box. Things that are going to spark excitement and spark their imagination. And you dump it in the center of the floor. And you say, all right, go over and pick something. in that pile, pick something out that you're gravitated to, you're moved by, you're intrigued by, and then and as you say, okay, why did you pick that feather? And they'll give you an answer and say, well, let's find out what that feather belongs to. What bird does that feather belong to? Let's do that research, and then come back to me and say if you're still intrigued. And that's what this is. That's how we get children to get to the next level, because it's about finding a passion. And it was Mark Twain that said the two most important days in your life is the day you were born and the day you realized why you were. Each one of us is born for a reason. And so, and once you find that, you can't stop them from that point. Once they latch on, they're clicked in, man, it's now you got to watch out, get out of the way, and let them do their thing. And then they will have a purpose-driven life. And that's what I want, and that's what, as an educator, as a parent, as a citizen of this country, it's what's important to me.